Hello everyone, welcome back to the Project Race YouTube channel. This is my team yet again for round 3 at Miami and I hope you enjoy. So, loading into the career mode, I will say at the start of this Grand Prix, unfortunately my YouTube, no, recording software, sorry, had a huge bug, and it turns out that half the race after lap 12 was not recorded, and so there is only what I have from here up till halfway through the race. I will in the next episode show you the results and kind of as much as I can what happened, but unfortunately it does mean that half of the race is gone, so I apologise. Just going through some admin stuff quickly before. So as I mentioned before, unfortunately most of the Grand Prix is missing. Which it does suck, and I do apologise for that. But hopefully we can make up for that in this week's episode and next week's episode as well in terms of the quality of content. But as you can see, it's tipping it down with rain, although the inters are faster and I do have some of the effects for rain off. But you can see getting completely sideways on the exit, trying to run lower gears as I can because that will just give us better acceleration and drive out of these corners, but we've gone terribly wide through this S section. We do try to get the car as rotated as possible, but unfortunately, since it is raining, shifting down too many gears will simply make us lose traction because of the rain. The track is very slippery right now, and let's not forget how early in development we are for the car, and realistically how slow the car is right now, not just in a straight line but a lack of downforce, and it feels incredibly heavy as well. What this does mean though is that I feel like I can be quite confident over curbs, as you're going to see in a minute. This is quite a cheese kind of line. However, you'll see later on in the video that we do end up having to use it a lot because the AI is very quick here, even though I did lower it to 100. So we'll see what happens. And this is also the first Grand Prix where I am using the line, sorry, because I couldn't seem to learn this quick enough before releasing the video, and I didn't want to wait for ages just for the line to be up. I figured it would be better to get the video out, but with the line on. But we nailed the apex coming into the penultimate corner, or one before actually, I think. Loads and loads of wheel spin on exit. Of course all green sectors since it's the first lap, but we go P7, just behind Russell, ahead of Schumacher, and now you can see ahead of Gasly. If we go on to lap 2, I decided to risk it on a second set of inters, as I didn't think we'd be able to get through to Q2 on our current lap, so we're out again, 5-6 tenths up, a big lock up into the last corner, and we lose a heap of that time. But hopefully some good traction on exit, which we do get, will bring us back to about 4 tenths gained, a purple middle sector, which I was certainly not expecting. That puts us P11, but unfortunately we didn't get through to Q2 or Q3, so we're going to just instantly advance to the formation lap, where you're going to see us try and get as much temperature into the tyres as possible. As you can see now, skipping towards the end of the formation lap, I realise that I'm very far ahead of the cars that were around me, but for at least half of that lap I was struggling to get tyre temps in, and I figured that since there's no major sanction the game provides for overtaking cars in the formation lap, I'm going to drive fast to try and get some temperature in. We set a purple grid position, which is excellent for the start, although I do feel like I might have overheated my tyres if anything, getting to almost 100 degrees on the internals, which could hinder our start just a little bit, but hopefully all that means is that we might be able to jump a few people ahead. As you can see, the 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights are out, short shifting into second, and then up to third, but that's when we get some wheel spin into fourth, and then fifth, and we've lost out to everyone. We're back into last, but we send it up the inside of Ticktum. Looking on Stroll, we decide to play it more safe. Make sure to keep our front wing, especially around this track. No front wing can really hurt your performance, considering that a lot of it is high speed. We send it up the inside of Stroll, going in a straight line to make sure we're not squeezing him, and we go incredibly wide, but we managed to keep the position to Stroll as he backs out through the right-hander, and now onto the back of Latifi. So overall, we've lost position from where we started, which is not ideal. I wanted to try and get Joe into the first corner, or maybe the second or third, because overtaking that Alfa Romeo would really help with advancing through the pack. Just like last weekend, we could have used him as a sort of toe and a kind of safety bed as Stroll tries to get past us and he switchbacks us, but there's no way he's going to be able to get around that outside through that really tight right-hander. And you can see going all the way around the teeth, and this is not an overtaking spot, but everyone was going so slow to the apex. I just like, decided to send it around the outside, knowing the AI they were going to back at anyway. So that was a bit, I guess you could say, cheaty, but to advance with how slow our car is, we're going to have to pull things like that, which is going to suck, I guess, for realism. However, if we want to do well at all, then we're going to have to admit it as a massive send down the inside of Albon. I did not remember that happening, and that was a gorgeous overtake as we put the power down perfectly. And there was no way he was going to keep that from us. It was a big jump to the end of lap 6 now. We're on the back of Joe. Stroll and Latifi are keeping up with us behind, as I think Albon might have retired only a few laps before. And Joe ahead of us is getting all out of shape on the exit. We've still got a decent gap to the car behind, so they're in their own battle, I feel, now with the 1.2 second lead. But with all the understeer we're getting, they're going to be able to catch up very quickly. But we still keep them out of DRS and we're right behind Joe, almost pushing him through these corners. But you can see getting a little wayward on the exit, and our lack of straight line speed is impossible to overtake these cars. The Ferrari engine is so quick in a straight line, and the Red Bull engines, and I guess the Mercedes engines as well. We've got a terrible engine in terms of performance and reliability. Luckily we haven't had any engine problems yet, but we're looking for every opportunity to try and get past Joe here, and there's nothing presenting itself. And you can see we're cheesing these corners as much as we can to try and get every advantage over the AI that we can. And now Stroll is back in our DRS as well, so now the queue is going to be even bigger, skipping to the end of the straight. But we do manage to send it down the inside of Joe. Used a lot of VRS, you can see down to 40% in 6 laps, so we've been draining our battery, using dodgy lines and everything to try and get past some of these AI, and we've still only made up to P17. So you can see the gulf between performance in the cars around us. You know, whilst on the performance index, yes, we might be ever so slightly ahead of Williams and behind Aston Martin, it doesn't really show the actual performance, because yes, we might have just got past a Ferrari powered car, but we were having to use extreme lines, draining the battery, DRS, you know, waiting for errors to try and get past those cars, and it's really testing our abilities, not only as a team but as a driver as well, because we're going to start having to play the waiting game with overtaking now. We're going to advance a little bit further on to the end of lap 7, going on to lap 8, and Joe is still very much with us, and so is Stroll now as well. So the back markers have caught up to us again. We almost ran into the back of Vettel there. It seems that Bottas might be slowing down a little bit on those hards, although I do feel at this point that the mediums have definitely passed their peak performance. But I'm just trying to keep with them. If we can keep DRS around this track, it'll be so important, because with how slow our engine is, we'll get slaughtered down the straight lines. It is not good when we're exposed to the cars behind, but we get a terrible exit all over the curbs, which means we're not able to put the power down as quickly as we want to. At least on our side, we can try and get momentum out of these corners to defend. And we've had to use a little bit of overtake, drain the ERS a bit to keep him behind, which we do successfully do. But now you can see the gap to Vettel is ever increasing. We're almost out of DRS as well, 9.5 tenths roughly. But we make that up at the apex of the left-hander and this right-hander. I love this sequence of corners. We get a massive snap of oversteer, first time there in this race, where I've had a big scare like that, which means we get even more oversteer with our hot tyres, and it's terrible a run through there, terrible run. And now any chance of overtaking Vettel down this straight has been taken away from us, and any chance of defending from Joe might have been taken away from us as well. He doesn't seem to be gaining that much, which is lucky, but Vettel has escaped by 8 tenths down one straight. we sent it a bit deep into the left-hander before the end of the lap, but we did end up gaining about half a tenth, maybe a tenth on Vettel, which is good for trying to, move with us, move with the pack as well. But we're not gaining anything on the cars behind, and we're not gaining anything on the cars ahead either. We're in a very tough situation right now where the performance of all the cars around us are identical, and it's just turning into a big DRS train. I feel like through the corners I can match everyone around us, maybe through some of these corners like there was a big gap of understeer, but we managed to gain time on the apex and the exit. But it's the straight line speed that is destroying our pace around these tracks. If we had managed to get that Red Bull engine, I'm almost certain we'd be further up competing with the Hasses like we have been in the last two races. We just haven't had luck on our side this race like we have been recently. The only reason we've been able to perform this well through the season is because of luck, and I feel like that might have run out at this race because there's nothing we can do. You can see the lines I'm having to take just to gain back up to the cars behind, not even making an overtake, just catching up. We do have a good run on Vettel though, you see advancing to the end of the straight. We sent him all the way to the inside to try and go around the outside. We've used a lot of overtake, down to 20%, down to third to get some extra rotation, up to fourth and up to fifth again. A lot of wheel spin. So on to lap 11 now after that move on Vettel, which I'm very happy with. We lock up hugely, a massive snap of oversteer. We must have locked up the rears as well, so all four tyres locking up has left us really vulnerable, but we managed to stick it in fifth, up to sixth. But now we've lost hugely to Bottas ahead of us. He's now got a 1.5 second gap, and as I mentioned before, us being vulnerable to the cars behind is not going to help us. I wanted to use Joe as the anchor, essentially, the tool to get ahead, or just to keep up with the drivers ahead, but it seems like it's not going to happen. You see the yellow flag behind us, and it is the pink icon going slow, which means Dan Ticktum has an issue, but it's not enough time to mention that because Vettel is coming round our outside, trying to get round our outside like we did to him, but it's not anything has come of it. Advancing now onto lap 11, no 12, sorry, finishing lap 11 onto lap 12, going down to turn 1. I feel like we're kind of safe to the cars behind, yet again locking up. Just the fronts this time, not the rears. If you noticed last time we had the massive snap of oversteer because of the rears getting all loose, but luckily it wasn't so bad this time. We get a pretty decent run actually through the S section. I was quite happy with that as it almost brings us into touch with Bottas, but we get a track limits warning. That's our second of the day. I almost thought we were going to get our third there on the exit, but since we ran over that again, it means that we can't get the run that we wanted. Unfortunately, that is all we have time for. No, wait, sorry, Vettel again round our outside, but this time we defend a lot better, and there was no chance of him getting round our outside. But as I say, that is everything for this video. I apologise again for the lack of the race. I will try and figure out what happened with the recording software. I hope you enjoy what was here. I hope you enjoy next episode a lot more, obviously. And I will see you guys later. Bye bye.